song too. We got that's the outro. Overstimulation.
Sure.
You
Overstimulation.
gotta do the body roll. You gotta do the body roll.
Wait.
Come on.
Overstimulation.
Yeah, y'all can have that.
Y'all can have
All right,
that.
come on.
Today we will be looking at two horrifying caving stories that went horribly wrong. Both of them have one thing in common: how underwater caves are always a gamble with life if you're not careful enough. As always, viewer discretion is advised. On the evening of Saturday, September 26, 1981, an experienced scuba diver entered the waters of Big Shoals Lake Cave in Arkansas, embarking on a dive with a highly unusual goal. Armed with a fishing line baited with multiple 5-pound catfish, he intended to place it deep inside an underwater cave in hopes of luring a massive 70-pound fish rumored to inhabit the cavernous depths. It was an endeavor that blended
You gonna dive in already with fish tied to your ass. 5 pounds of catfish. Five. You is a meal. You are a meal. You didn't drop the meal in there. You dropped yourself with the meal. Huh? Okay.
You fine, get it out. Let me know. You know, we need plenty of these anyways. Pause. Because we really can't just let it flow through, you know, because copyright issues. So it's fine. The more pauses, the better.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
ambition with recklessness, a dive that would ultimately cost him horribly. The diver, whose name has been lost to time, was not a novice. With an NAU certification.
Stop it. Why y'all doing it?
I got this, guys. Watch this.
Don't worry about it. I got it.
Experience,
Don't worry
he
about
was
it.
certainly capable in open water diving. NAUI, or National Association of Underwater Instructors, is one of the world's leading scuba diving certification agencies. It provides training for recreational, technical, and professional divers, emphasizing safety and responsible diving practices. However, experience in open water does not necessarily translate to cave diving expertise, which requires specialized training, redundant air supplies, and rigorous safety protocols. Despite this, he entered the water alone, violating one of the cardinal rules of cave diving: never dive solo.
Dummy. Okay, I probably should have called that man a dummy. But
Shit, too late. I did too. Just
you broke the rule. You're not supposed to go by yourself. You are ready.
right,
What's wrong?
man. What's wrong with him?
The intention behind
Uh-huh.
his dive was peculiar. Most divers explore underwater caves for adventure or scientific study. But this man sought to use his dive as an elaborate fishing expedition, attempting to trap a colossal fish believed to lurk in the cave's depths. Witnesses saw him
damn
disappear
fish.
into the cave. He never resurfaced. When the diver failed to return, concerns mounted. Hours passed before authorities were notified, and a search and rescue operation was set in motion. Leading the effort was William Burns from Missouri, a seasoned cave diver, alongside a recovery team from Kansas City, Missouri. They arrived late Sunday evening, well over 24 hours after the diver had entered the cave. The initial goal was a rescue mission, but it soon became evident that they might be dealing with a body recovery unless something miraculous happens. But the odds were slim, since in such conditions, survival beyond a few hours without proper air supply was impossible. Tom Cook, another experienced diver, was contacted to provide additional support. He activated an NCFC diving team, but the alert was later rescinded when it was determined that the man was beyond saving. William Burns was the first to brave the cave's depths. As he descended, he encountered the diver's fishing line, still extending into the murky void. The baited hooks were untouched, offering no sign of struggle, just an eerie stillness. Pushing further, Burns found himself navigating increasingly restrictive passageways. The cave, like many underwater systems, was a labyrinth of tight squeezes, jagged rock formations, and silt-covered floors that clouded visibility with even the slightest disturbance. At one point, the passage narrowed drastically, reducing
Because why?
Because why?
I just really want to know, what are these people's thought processes?
The end game.
What's your
I'm
end game?
just- I'm gonna
What
go die.
what's the name? What Cardi B said? What's the reason?
What is the reason?
What is the reason?
The reason. That's what they mean. It's a high. Them niggas get high off that shit. Hell no, they get high off the wrong shit.
That part.
to an opening of a passage only 16 to 20 inches in height. Visibility was highly poor, ranging from near zero to no more than 5 inches. The water was thick with silt, making it impossible to see beyond an arm's length. It was at this juncture that Burns made the difficult decision to stop and resurface. There was no sign of the missing diver. The Kansas City recovery team arrived shortly thereafter, working in pairs to comb through the cave's passageways. However, the search was fraught with challenges. The cave's tight restrictions and low visibility made even the most experienced divers cautious. Safety lines and air hoses repeatedly became entangled in the unseen obstacles, adding to the dangers. One of the rescue divers, determined to push beyond Burns' stopping point, squeezed through a narrow passage, pulling himself into a new chamber. As he did so, a large rock dislodged from the ceiling, striking him in the face. He was shaken.
Oh, he ain't coming back. I'm sorry, he ain't coming back. We all know this.
They got hit in the face with a boulder?
A boulder?
Oh, damn.
I don't know what you're supposed to do with that information. Like, at this point, he dead, right? At this point.
That's what I'm saying. Closed casket. What's that song?
The pain he felt was unbearable.
He'll heal up
He survived.
pretty fast with that seawater. He'll heal up with that seawater.
Oh my goodness.
That's medicine.
You gotta leave some. You gotta leave something in the water too, though. You can't just go out. You good? You better have some jewelry on or some shit offerings.
You can be some
He'll up in that water.
The impact, but was forced to retreat due to the unstable environment. The cave was proving to be just as dangerous for the rescuers as it had been for the lost diver. Despite extensive efforts, no body was found. It became increasingly clear that the diver had become trapped or drifted deeper into an inaccessible part of the cave. But the question remained, what went wrong? Several factors may have contributed to the diver's demise. Entanglement in his own fishing line. One of the most plausible theories is that the diver became entangled in the very fishing line he had set. Cave diving already presents an extreme entrapment risk, and the presence of an unsecured line running through the passageways only increased the chances of an accident. If the line wrapped around his gear or limbs, he may have struggled to free himself, depleting his oxygen in the process. Equipment failure or panic. It's possible that an equipment failure, such as a regulator malfunction or a ruptured hose, left him without a viable air supply. Alternatively, he could have panicked after losing his bearings in the dark, silty water. Even experienced divers can succumb to disorientation in such conditions, leading to fatal mistakes. The cave's unforgiving nature. With tight squeezes, falling rocks, and zero visibility, the cave itself was a death trap. Without clear guidelines or exit markers, even a well-trained diver could become hopelessly lost. If the diver ventured too deep and ran out of air before finding his way back, he would have succumbed to hypoxia and drowned. Silt out and complete darkness. Underwater caves are notorious for silt outs, where fine sediment is stirred up, reducing visibility to absolute zero. If the diver inadvertently kicked up silt while maneuvering, he would have been plunged into darkness, unable to see his way out. In such a scenario, even the best divers struggle to navigate safely. After exhaustive efforts, the search was called off. The cave had claimed its victim, and recovery was deemed too dangerous. To this day, his body remains somewhere in the depths of Big Shoals Lake,
the
a
hell
grim
it is.
reminder
I'm
of the
sure the
risks
hell it
inherent in
is.
cave diving.
It's that
For many,
somewhere for
this
me.
incident serves as a harsh lesson in what
Where
not to
Mark?
do.
They
Cave
done ate the
diving
bone. They done
demands
ate the skin away.
Oh yeah, that shit is at this point devoured.
He just
I
slipped
was
and
lunch,
fell
dinner, and
deeper
breakfast
into
for
the.
them for
You
like
like
2 weeks.
that last one that we had seen. He had slipped through the damn harness and fell through because he decayed.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that fucking one. Boy,
Yeah.
that fuck yeah,
meticulous
I didn't like that
preparation,
one.
proper equipment, and strict adherence to safety protocols. Ignoring these rules, even for a seemingly harmless goal like setting a fishing trap, can have deadly consequences. His ambition to catch a legendary fish cost him his life, and the cave remains his final resting place. Despite search efforts, his body was never found, swallowed by the dark abyss he had hoped to conquer. This tragedy underscores several important cave diving principles. Solo cave diving is one of the most dangerous activities in the world. Had the diver been with a buddy, he might have had a chance to escape. Being an experienced open water diver does not make one qualified for cave diving. The specialized skills required for navigating underwater caves are critical for survival. The fishing line was an unnecessary hazard. In the confined, dark environment of an underwater cave, foreign objects increase entanglement risks. Cave divers must be prepared for silt outs and low visibility conditions. Without a clear return path, divers can easily become lost and run out of air. Not all underwater caves should be entered, even by the most skilled divers. When conditions are too extreme, the best decision is to stay out. This next story is even more terrifying to watch. On the weekend of April 12, 1980, a group of divers from Texas arrived at Vortex Springs in Holmes County, Florida. Among them were Ronnie Tyner, 24, Johnny Swan, 24,
With a
Merritt
name
R.
like
Steger,
that.
24, and Russell D. Hill, 23. The four men, eager for adventure, planned to explore the depths of the water-filled cave system at Vortex Springs, a popular but notoriously dangerous diving site. Vortex Springs had long been a magnet for cave divers, drawing thrill seekers from across the country. However, the site carried a grim reputation. By that time, it had already claimed 24 lives. The neighboring Morrison Spring in Walton County had an even deadlier tally, with 28 reported fatalities. Cave diving, as many experienced divers knew, was one of the most perilous forms of underwater exploration, demanding rigorous training, careful planning, and unwavering discipline. For many, the cave was irresistible, the promise of a world hidden beneath the surface,
Simply
filled with
irresistible.
winding passages and submerged tunnels, called to those seeking a challenge.
Oh
The four young
man,
men,
there's
full
no
of confidence and
telling what
enthusiasm, likely spent hours
Very
planning their dive,
irresistible.
discussing the route, and making final checks on their gear. They might have watched other divers disappear
That's
into
that
the
shit.
depths and emerge
Whoa.
later with stories of mesmerizing rock formations and the surreal silence of the underwater cavern. The group had some diving experience, but lacked the specialized cave diving certifications required for such an environment. However, as many before them had done, they likely felt confident in their ability to
I do what I want. Whatever.
Fuck all the state regulations and certifications, and we just gonna go down there.
I do what I want to
We're
do.
gonna wing it.
We gonna use their oxygen tanks. We gonna use their gases. We gonna mix the chemicals. We gonna use all the equipment and get lost with their shit
And get lost or get with it.
and become a landmark. That's our destiny in life.
See, and let me see one of them damn floating ass dead ass bodies. I'm panicking.
Well, I ain't gonna be down there.
Like,
So
is
I
that
ain't
the
gonna
nigga
see
from the
that
video?
shit. Is that the nigga for the video?
The nigga from the video, bro. Like, no.
push past
Told
the
you I ain't want to
barriers.
do this.
Perhaps they believed their open water diving skills were enough. What awaited them, though, was a silent, dark world that would demand perfection in execution. something few divers achieve in an uncontrolled setting. As they suited up, the air was filled with the rhythmic hissing of regulators being tested, the clinking of metal buckles, and the distant echo of voices from other divers preparing for their own excursions. Sunlight danced on the rippling surface of the spring, offering one last glimpse of warmth and safety before they plunged into the unknown. The 4 divers entered the water, their bubbles breaking the calm surface as they adjusted their gear. Their fins stirred up the sandy bottom, momentarily clouding the water before the flow of the spring carried the silt away. As they moved forward, the light from the entrance gradually faded, replaced by the eerie glow of their dive lights cutting through the cold, clear water. The deeper they ventured, the more the outside world became a distant memory. The silence was absolute, broken only by the sound of their steady breathing through
Gonna
their
be a goddamn memory in a
regulators.
second.
They moved in practiced formation, maintaining visibility of one another as they navigated the cavernous expanse. The limestone walls of the cave loomed around them, appearing smooth in some areas and jagged in others, etched by centuries of water flow. At approximately 250 feet into the cave, they reached a posted stop sign, a clear warning marking the furthest point that divers
There
with
it go.
diving certification were supposed to go.
There go that Grim
The sign
Reaper.
was not just a suggestion, it was a
Shoot.
final reminder of the dangers that lay beyond. The fluorescent letters loomed in the dim light, an undeniable marker that they were about to cross into forbidden territory. Many
Well,
divers
fuck it,
before
let's
them
go.
had turned back here, heeding the cautionary advice of experts who
go.
understood the deadly risks beyond this point. Despite this, the group pressed forward. They attached a thin, twine-like line to mark their path and continued deeper into the labyrinthine cave system, paying out the line behind them. This line was supposed to be their lifeline, guiding them back to safety should visibility drop or panic set in. But in their inexperience, they had chosen an inadequate material, thin and easily tangled. It would soon become their worst enemy. The water temperature dropped as they advanced. The sensation of cold creeping through their wetsuits was a reminder of how far they had come from the sunlit world above.
Turn around.
They moved deeper, carefully maneuvering through tight passages, their dive lights sweeping across the submerged terrain. Occasionally, their beams caught glimpses of small fish darting into cracks in the rock, their movements barely disturbing the stillness of the cave. Then, something changed. Whether it was a shift in current, a sudden loss of visibility due to disturbed silt, or simply the overwhelming realization of how deep they had gone, unease likely settled in. Their exit was now hundreds of feet away, and they had ventured beyond the point where simple mistakes could be corrected. Every movement had to be deliberate, every breath measured. Yet, in the silent depths of the cave, something was about to go terribly wrong. No one knows exactly what happened next, but the possibilities are chilling. Hours passed, and the 4 men failed to...
And this is what the fuck happens when you go down and you on limited air. You on limited air supply. But you want to go down in some damn water.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
It's fun.
That's what they think. I'm
Good
talking
time.
like them.
Oh. Good goddamn.
You see where I'm at? I can't even afford to get to the caves of the water.
What
Yeah.
happened?
Why the hell
I
you
just want to
go
go to the beach. I just want to go to the beach and swim a little bit. You know? I ain't going no cave. I'll go to the beach. I like the beach.
I like
Wash my hair in the
well,
salt water.
I don't know anymore. I
Not
learned
going
some
to the
things. I learned some things about the beach too. I don't really.
I mean that too.
I'm not really, you know.
The organisms.
Yeah, that part.
Them the ones.
Can't do it. Don't want to. All right.
The organisms.
The little small
Lord,
ones that you
free us.
can't see.
And go through your urethra hole and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nasal cavities and earlobes and nostrils, and now they're all in your brain taking over.
Oh, you a whole different
Take it over.
thing. I don't even want to call you a person no more. You got fish DNA
They're taking
now.
over. They're taking over. They're taking over. They're taking over. They're taking over, taking over, taking over, taking over, taking over, taking over. Organism taking over. Taking over. Taking over.
All right, overstimulated.
Taking over, taking over, taking over.
resurface, Concerned, other divers in the area alerted authorities, and a rescue operation was launched. The local sheriff coordinated efforts, and experienced cave rescue divers were brought in. Among them was Johnny Manuel, a seasoned diver who had seen his fair share of underwater tragedies. What he and the other rescuers found painted a horrifying picture. The 4 divers were located approximately 100 feet beyond the stop sign. They were entangled in their own safety line, their bodies frozen in a chaotic tangle of limbs and twine. Their knives, meant for emergency situations, remained sheathed on their legs. They had made no attempt to cut themselves free. They were in about as big a mess as I've ever seen, Manuel later recalled. This thin line was all over them. I imagine they got all tangled up, and one of them panicked, and everybody got in trouble. Their bodies were found in a state that suggested utter chaos in their final moments. None knew exactly what had happened, but the clues they found told them enough to speculate. Several theories were drawn, starting with the panic theory. One plausible theory is that one of the divers became entangled first. Perhaps he lost control of his buoyancy, rising slightly and causing slack in the line to wrap around him. As he struggled, his movements may have drawn the others in, pulling them into the growing web of twine. In their frantic attempts to escape, their struggles only made things worse. The more they fought, the more the line constricted, sealing their fate. Divers are trained to remain calm, but training is one thing. Actual terror is another. In the pitch-black environment, with dwindling air supplies and rising fear, rational thought likely evaporated. The divers had sheathed knives strapped to their legs, but in their panic, they never thought to use them. The situation escalated rapidly, leaving them with no way out. The air supply theory. Another possibility is that they miscalculated their air supply. Cave diving requires careful gas management, as divers...
That's why I said you went to damn confined space and you done ran out of air supply.
And in a panic, you can't use your own shit. I really miss my... not yet.
I really
planned for
miss
both their safety and
my
return.
Not
If they
yet.
ventured too
Damn,
far,
Mark.
they may
Too
have
soon,
realized
too
too late
soon.
that they lacked enough air to get back. In a desperate bid to escape, they may have turned in the wrong direction, expending energy and oxygen at a critical moment. As their tanks emptied,
Sure did.
air breathing would have become labored. The rising carbon dioxide levels in their bloodstream would have triggered an overwhelming sense of suffocation, intensifying their panic.
Overwhelming.
They may have scrambled for the exit, only to ensnare themselves further. Their last moments were likely filled with mounting dread as the reality of their predicament set in. The light failure theory. A third theory suggests that a loss of light contributed to their doom. If their primary lights failed and they lacked backup illumination, they would have been plunged into absolute darkness. In such conditions, even a well-trained diver can become disoriented. Without visual reference points, they may have reached for their guideline only to find it tangled beyond use. In the blackness, their sense of direction would have crumbled. Their breathing would have quickened, consuming more of their already limited air supply. Each movement could have further twisted the line around them, sealing their fate. Whatever the case, the deaths of Tyner, Swan, Stagger, and Hill added to the growing list of fatalities at Vortex Springs. Their story became yet another cautionary tale for divers
Damn,
worldwide.
Mark.
Vortex Springs, like many underwater caves, is an
Now they got
unforgiving
put this
place
song
and
deeper.
highlights something really
Put a whole nother
when
song.
the
And they ain't gonna listen to that side neither.
I know, but it was worth a shot.
Interesting.
Second warning: do not go beyond this point. It is no return. Point
Not
of
when
no
climbers
return.
fall off Mount Everest. I do not want to see that.
Somebody